Nigerians now live below the national poverty line. The World Bank stated that since 2018, the Nigerians who have risen from poverty from 4.01% as at 2018, the figure has increased to 5.0% as at 2024. And according to the World Bank in that report, it stated that rural poverty, which used to be around 13.3%, has risen sharply, and also the urban poverty has been affected too. In all, the report indicates that 14 million Nigerians have become poorer as at 2023 to this year. And what is the potential implication of this on the general living of Nigerians? These are some of the issues we shall try to dive into. What are the economic factors that have contributed to this rising poverty, and what can be done? Strategies to put in place to alleviate the poverty that Nigerians are grappling with. These and some more will form the basis of our discussion. I have been joined here in the studio by an economist, an associate professor of economics, who is the Director General, Benue State Budget and Economic Planning Commission. Dr. Jerome Andohol is our guest on Perspectives. Welcome to Agate Radio, Dr. Andohol.
Thank you very much. Good morning, listeners out there, and very healthy good morning to Nat.
We are also will be joined virtually by a Lagos-based economic analyst, Dr. Vincent Nwanma, who will join us to share thoughts with us on this subject matter. You can call in at the program later at 10 o'clock. We avail you the platforms later on. Dr. Andohol, let's start right away. As we mentioned, the World Bank released the Nigerian Development Update report, stating that over 129 million Nigerians now live below the national poverty line. How did this report come to you as an economist?
It's a bit of, for me, I think there's still some kind of light at the tunnel. Because in as much as they've stated that the poverty line has become a bit of worrisome, it has been over a period of time. Remember last year, when we were talking about multidimensionally poor persons in Nigeria, we were looking at about 133 million Nigerians. So if as at this year, we are talking about maybe 120. I think to some extent maybe there has been a little bit of a tick downwards, given the numbers, as we are presented the year before and what it is now. So I know that the tick has is there, but it's not so noticeable. So in my own opinion, I feel that given what the present government is trying to do and what it has done, to some extent, there is some kind of a blicker of light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, but to state that 129, and by this figure, it means as at this year alone, 14 million Nigerians have been plunged into poverty compared to the figures of 2018, which the report stated. Is that disturbing for an economy that seems to be touting economic reforms?
Like I had presented much earlier, I said that as of last year, multidimensionally, it was about 133 million. And if, as of this year, you're looking at 129, yes, maybe if you're looking at the trajectory from 2018 to date, yes, okay, indeed, we might have plunged into the deeper base of poverty. But if you do a year-on-year comparison, there is a blicker of hope. There's light at the tunnel. It has ticked downwards a little bit, but it's not so noticeable. But I think maybe if we continue with some of the policies in this direction, I think there'll be some further improvement in terms of the numbers as presented by World Bank.
Okay, now let's look at the primary causes of the rising poverty. What would you say they are?
Basically, there are some number of factors that have, plunged us deeper into this subject matter called poverty. Before now, we are some kind of subsidizing the entirety of our, let me say, consumption. The government was some kind of borrowing from World Bank to subsidize issues that have to do with petroleum, and which petroleum is at the center, and even electricity. But given that we couldn't continue within that trajectory, given the fact that we are sinking deeper and deeper into debt. So it was as if we are running through a vicious cycle of poverty, whereby our consumption was in poor state. We were borrowing, sinking further into poverty to be able to come and see how we can subsidize that consumption. And then at either ends, we are not making progress in any way. We are rather sinking in thoroughly within the poverty, below the poverty gap.
Okay, now let's look at an aspect of the report. It revealed that while poverty remained a rural phenomenon, urban poverty had grown significantly, with 31.3% of urban dwellers now living in poverty, which is to say, it is not that is from 18% in 2018. Does this figure give a cause to worry?
Yeah, indeed, it gives a whole cause to worry, which is some of the symptoms that we are seeing exhibiting themselves, arising from some of these causes. One, which is the issues of insecurity. Again, one of the bane that we had led to the causative factors of poverty, that I had mentioned earlier, was the issue of this trying to create a single market for the exchange rate. That also did affected poverty. And to a large extent, we've started now seeing the menace associated as one of the causative factors arising from, one of the symptoms arising from some of these causative factors, which is the issues of insecurity. Within our borders now, we've also seen issues of continuous and incessant headers attack, as well as some extent some persons might call some of those things terrorism on our people and within the Nigerian state, and a whole lot of other things, that rising prices, which has also been a bane in terms of the cost, adding to the cost of production, and as well as leading to rising inflation within the borders of the Nigerian state.
Okay, and now, if the urban dwellers are suffering, 31.3% of urban dwellers are now living in poverty from 18% in 2018. Let's look at the rural communities. What will be the impact of the rural poverty?
One other thing that we need to be able to address, or maybe get to know, maybe our urban fuel. One of the greatest earner of income for us is agriculture. And if indeed we are having issues surrounding poverty within the urban areas, making it a bit difficult for there to be accessibility in terms of flow of resources, that is agricultural products, to the urban areas, that will also to a large extent affect the rural populace, because their livelihood will also be affected. And within the urban areas, for persons who are doing some kind of maybe white-collar jobs, the stress on them to be able to link back, that's backward linkages to their rural communities, becomes extremely stressful and difficult. So to a large extent, if you look at that, if there is issues of insecurity within the urban setting, then indeed it will be far worse off within the rural community. More so that if you look at the protection of lives and properties within those ungoverned spaces, is higher within the rural setup than the urban community. And this will affect businesses, will affect production, will affect investment, as well as maybe the generality of growth also will be dwindled to a large extent.
Okay, this government talked about economic stabilization bills, which have been transmitted to the National Assembly. When these bills are considered, would they have any effect on poverty reduction?
To a large extent, what those bills tend to or seek to address is trying to see how they can mitigate in terms of the fiscal policy, especially taxation. And the bills are trying to see how they can harmonize taxes so that the rural person who is selling maybe some goods will have maybe a one-stop kind of tax on him, and not this issue of multiplicity in terms of taxes that are harbored on the business community as well as the rural community that have goods and services to trade at the marketplace. So if the bills are passed, they, to a large extent, will remove a whole lot of taxes that are being vested on our people, on businessmen. And once that is done, yes, indeed, it will lead to a reduction in the cost of production and the free accessibility and movement of goods and services across the borders. Because if you know what is happening in most of the transit of agricultural products, you see a lot of persons, they will stand on the road and they will, keep all manner of impediments on the road, so that people who are trying to transit agricultural products from one place to another will need to pay a whole lot of tax agricultural commodities by the time they get to their various destinations. So the essence is that the entirety of the fiscal space, especially as it concerns taxation, there will be some kind of maybe an amelioration coming for the business community as well as farmers once these bills are passed. And indeed, it will lead to a decrease in the pricing of goods and services, which we now, lead to a reduction in the poverty. That is the end game of those bills.
In the immediate, what are the low-hanging fruits across some of the sectors that the government can plug into with regards to reducing poverty in the country?
In the immediate, which are short-term issues that the government or strategies that they may be to put in place, one of such is that the government has tried as much as possible to see how they've started sharing out palliatives. Though some persons have really some kind of questioned why government should be sharing palliatives in terms of foodstuff to people. But when the analogy I keep giving is that when you take a critical patient to the hospital, the first thing is that you're giving oxygen to the person so as to revive the person in a manner that thereafter, as a first responder, that is what is done by ascribing oxygen to that person so that he doesn't die. And then that we now transit to what the government is trying to do by maybe even offering foodstuff in terms of palliatives. Another strategy which the government is trying to do is by trying to see how they can get most of these vulnerable groups to have some monies in their pocket in terms of businesses. That's cash transfers to most of vulnerable group citizenry, so that they be able to use that and start some small business, especially the nano businesses. Another thing to which the strategy the government is using is they are trying to bring in issues of fertilizer, distribute some of these agricultural products to the rural community so as to see how they can show up their production within those spaces. So in the short term, that is what the government is trying to do, to be able to see how they can curtail the citizen from digging deep or going deep in below the poverty line.
One thing which many analysts and also part of the World Bank report highlighted was the inflation. So what is the impact of inflation on poverty levels, especially food inflation?
Inflation has, if you look at what is happening within our economy, is that inflation basically is driven. It has two folds. You have the demand pull and the cost push, and it is not issue of the demand that is causing poverty, but is the cost, adding to cost of production that has led to the high inflationary trend we are noticing within our own economy. And inflation, as it were, has been also propelled by issues of interest rate. Interest rate, which is a monetary measure, and if you look at the NPR, it has kept on increasing, which is a bit of worrisome to some of us. Why the central authorities will keep on increasing the NPR, which is the price tag for borrowing money. And we know once that goes up, it serves as an indicator for businesses or banks, to be able to lend to businesses. So food inflation, has also added exceedingly to the issue of poverty, and this is as a result of the issues of insecurity that we have found within our ungoverned spaces. Because if these spaces are well governed, it will give persons the ability to be able to go to such governed spaces and do their farm work without hindrance, and at the end be able to get in products, agricultural products, which they can now use, some for their subsistence living, and the rest that they can consume within a particular harvest, they will take it to the marketplace, sell, and they're able to get some kind of livelihood for themselves. So to a large extent, food inflation within our spaces, which have been ungoverned, has added so much to the current inflationary rate within the Nigerian setting.
Okay, and to what extent, for instance, you mentioned government's approach of food palliatives. Is that approach sustainable to addressing food inflation?
No, that is not sustainable. But like Adi had given an analogy, it's just a short-term measure to enable people get on their feet while government is trying to address other long-term measures that we now lead to much sustainable agricultural practices and much sustainable economy that will lead to economic growth. So the issues of palliatives are just short-term measures that the government is trying to use. Another short-term measure the government also trying to do is by ensuring that most of our displaced communities are, a bit of sheltered enough. So improve sheltering for them, so that those conditions to which they had found themselves given their displacement is a bit of improved.
Okay, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on iGate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi. We are discussing addressing rising poverty in Nigeria in line with the World Bank's recent report indicating that 129 million Nigerians are living below national poverty line, which is an increment which, according to the body, has risen significantly as at 2018. Our guest here in the studio is an associate professor of economics, the Director General, Benue State Budget and Economic Planning Commission, Dr. Jerome Andohol. And shortly we'll be joined virtually by a Lagos-based economic analyst, Dr. Vincent Nwanma, who will also share thoughts with us on what we are discussing. You can participate by calling in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. That's the line for you to participate at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, the line for SMS is activated for you to contribute through text or a WhatsApp message. That line is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Log onto our website on www.iGateRadioTV.com to listen to us and access other content as well. You can download the iGate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which serves you to listen to the radio, read the newspaper, watch the television, and other content. We're available on Radio Garden and on social media platforms where this program is also streaming. Join us to be a part of this edition. Dr. Andohol, what extent do we have such social protection programs?
The government has been able to, one of the social protection programs that it did put in place is this issue of conditional cash transfer, which is making to its citizenry. That is one of the programs that the government has been able to put into. And again, which this program also has its own little bit of spread. That is other platforms that it utilizes. That is for nano businesses and for people who are vulnerable to an extent that they can't work, and also people who can work, but the government also gives them some bit of employment so that they pay them monthly on these programs, and this the government has been able to to do to that extent. And then there are other programs that have to do with the government trying to provide skills. They want to give you some skill, they bring you out, give you a training, and thereafter they give you a startup pack, to enable you go and carry out that kind of skill within the area that you reside. So these are some of those skills which are also some kind of long-term, geared towards long-term strategies to enable people, develop skills, enhance themselves, as well as, have their effect within the areas that they find themselves, and also the economics that they will drive within those spaces that they are residing.
Do we have such policies domesticated in Benue State, such social protection programs?
Yes, we have those social protection programs. We've even tagged our own earlier cares, whereby we have been able to make a distribution of conditional cash transfer to close to about 30,000 individuals in the last 6 months within the Benue economy. And this is cut across trying to see nano businesses, how we can reach them, and also those vulnerable persons that we can reach them as well. There are also we have also utilized the Community and Social Development Agency, whereby we've given projects to communities on a bit of a counterpart basis, though their counterpart is usually required from them in terms of kind, where you go to a community and the community picks up a project that they think they need, and then we are able to send in monies so the community within themselves, you utilize that money from the bank that is named, the bank account or details that is being provided by that particular community. And the essence is that we want the community to take hold of that project so that at the end of it all, it becomes sustainable for them. So these are the various ways to which we've been able to utilize social protection to reach various communities within the Benue space, as well as utilizing the Fadama platform, whereby we have aggregated communities. We have aggregated beneficiaries into cooperative societies, and then we give some kind of inputs, farm inputs. We give some kind of maybe machines within those particular communities so that they are able to, get all of these things, and maybe to help them, increase the agricultural output, and at the end it becomes a bit of sustainable within those particular communities.
Okay, we have now been joined virtually by Dr. Vincent Nwanma, who is a Lagos-based economic analyst. Good morning, Dr. Nwanma. Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to join you. I hope you can hear me. I'm hearing you.
Very well. Very well. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now, Dr. Nwanma, you are aware that the World Bank last Thursday released the Nigeria's Development Update Report for this year, indicating that 129 million Nigerians have been plunged into poverty as at this year, indicating the figure that 14 million citizens have already been plunged into poverty as at 2018. How do you react to this report as an economic analyst?
Okay, thank you. You see, in 2018, Nigeria became the world capital of poverty of poor people, because we have the largest number of poor people. We overtook China, India in that year. Even though the subsequent year India took over. You know what has happened is that there are many ways people fall into poverty. What we are talking about here is absolute poverty, not necessarily relative poverty. People become poor for various reasons. When incomes decline, when purchasing power declines, perhaps as a result of inflation. You know where our inflation is today. So people who were eating 2 meals last year or only this year, some can no longer afford two meals today. Some are barely managing to afford one, and the real income they have has fallen. So these are the things that feed into the definition of poor people. Many people have lost their jobs. They don't have jobs. More people who get into the job market are unable to get jobs. So because of these are the dynamics of poverty, the things that drive poverty, people who were rich yesterday, who could afford last year, for example, who could afford 3 square meals, many can no longer do so. So as these things happen, you see people falling into poverty deeper and deeper. That is why that report says the proportion of Nigerians in poverty has increased from 40.1% to 56%. These are the dynamics. And you know what has happened in this year alone, between May and today. I don't know if that answer, because I know you have subsequent questions.
Very well. Now, you just mentioned the figure which has risen to, and now let me take you to part of the report which stated further that the poverty is not just about rural poverty or people living below national poverty line, but urban dwellers now living below poverty line, as according to the report, 33.3% of urban dwellers are living below poverty line, as indicating that is 18% increase from 2018. How does that affect the economy in general if the urban dwellers are also grossly affected?
Yeah, my brother. Urban poverty is one of the urban poverty is an irony, in the past, poverty was looked upon or was seen as a rural phenomenon, where if one managed to escape the poverty in the villages, these areas, and migrated to the urban area, that person, by definition, had become a rich man. But it is no longer so. If you go through our cities, even Abuja, the capital city, you have places we know as the slums. In Lagos, where I live, you have slums. So the slums are the other name of urban poverty. Urban poverty is a phenomenon where individuals flock into the city without the requisite qualifications or skills that can guarantee them the jobs that exist in the city. And they flock to the cities only to discover that there's no place for them. Stay with someone for a while. And in some cases, the only available place where such people can stay are not in the highbrow areas of the city. It is in the slums. In Lagos, here we have the Matupo, we have Jorabadia, we have other places where you see human beings living in substandard conditions. That is urban poverty. People who flock to the cities only to discover that the city, even though it is such a glamorous place, has no place for them because they lack the skills, they lack the educational qualification that can guarantee them jobs. If a man who doesn't have a job, doesn't have a title to land, for example, doesn't have property, doesn't have investment, that man, that gives him a place among those who can feed themselves. I have done a study of urban poverty and the abnormality of our development challenge that we live. If you look at our economy as a trend, you look at it as a train that has left many of the passengers, even though it is moving. So these poor urban people are those who have been left behind by our economic train, even though they've come to the heart of the economy, because there's no place for them.
Okay, now
that's what urban poverty means.
Very well. Now,
it's a dysfunction of our development.
Okay, so to what extent are social protection policies being implemented to address the rising poverty, both the urban and rural poverty?
If you look at what is known as social safety net, social safety net can work or be impactful depending on the nature of the problem it's supposed to address. If it's a structural problem, if it's a fundamental problem, as is the case with poverty in a country like Nigeria, we are in the class of not just developing countries, we are in the class of what is known as frontier markets. Frontier markets are the economies that are just emerging. And they are not just emerging, they are emerging economies, they are pre-emerging economies by certain classifications. You know, these countries such as Nigeria, Ghana, and so on, we have the structural deficiencies, structural challenges, you know, high inflation arising from defects in our productive system, in our industry. Look at power, we don't have power. So if you have social safety net or social protective protection policy, it can work if the phenomenon is addressing is for a short while. It's not that people are perpetually in poverty or without jobs. For how long can you sustain social safety net? And in some cases, they are poorly designed and poorly implemented. Most of the time, the people who need these things do not actually get them because of the distribution network or the way it is designed and implemented. So I have written on this, you know, that these things, while they work in other areas, in other places, they may not work very well in Nigeria because one of the magnitude of the problem. You know, look at the palliatives we have. Well, of course, our own social network, social protection is, we have called it palliative. How much has palliative achieved in Nigeria? You know, we can do it for a while, but while doing it, we must face these fundamental challenges of restructuring the economy so that it becomes productive, so that the economy can absorb people, employ people. You know, so the people, a majority of the people will have jobs. If people don't have jobs, if they don't have income generating activities, then entrepreneurship is, yeah, we talk about it, but the environment makes it difficult for entrepreneurs, especially at the low level, to succeed. Then you have more people joining the league of those who need social safety net. And then the challenge that the government facing with revenue. So it can work in some areas, but in Nigeria it is not working. And the area we address the fundamental challenges of exclusion. Exclusion here meaning that most people are excluded from the productive system. So they don't have income. What we need instead of all these social safety net, which in our society is an inclusive group that employs people, that creates jobs. That's what we need.
Okay, just before I let you go, Dr. Nwanma, you have touched on so many things, but you have this continent that social safety nets may not necessarily work. What policy recommendations would you propose to address the rising poverty in Nigeria, the number of persons living below the national poverty line?
Yeah, it's well, the government is today talking about stabilization to stabilize the economy so that it doesn't continue sliding, going down. We need, as I've already said, an inclusive growth. What we mean by inclusive growth is that growth that, as it's growing, it is absorbing people. We cannot continue to say our economy grew by 10% or 7% in the mid 20s, 2007, 2008, and so on, or 6. Our economy was growing fairly well before the financial crisis, and then after it. We need inclusive growth. We need industries that we grow. Let us have industrial policy that encourages employment, job creation. With the population we have, if people do not have jobs, we continue to have in industry, manufacturing, job creation in the real sector. There's a place called the real sector. The real sector is in the factories that produce goods and services. The real sector is in the agriculture that produces the food that we eat. Once you remove this, if you read that report says that our growth has been driven by services. Services are good, the financial sector and so on, but services cannot guarantee inclusive growth over time. Services are to service to help what is being done in the real sector. So government, maybe as a roundup, must use monetary policy, fiscal policy to drive job creation. Young people graduating from schools should be able to find jobs and become productive. Or those who want to start on their own, entrepreneurs, let the environment be conducive to them. We are talking about ease of doing business. The government must stabilize the environment. Lower inflation, lower the cost of funds, and then stabilize the system so that there be some level of predictability in the economy. And then open up this economy, be able to attract foreign investment. And overall, we must tackle insecurity. Insecurity has become perhaps the biggest obstacle to job creation on the farms, in factories, and so on. So, growth, inclusive growth, everything that can induce inclusive growth is what this economy needs now.
Dr. Vincent Nwanma is a Lagos-based economic analyst. We thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on Perspectives here on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful.
Have a great day, Dr. Nwanma.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. All right. Dr. Andohol, you listened to your co-panelists on the program who joined us virtually. Are there some opinions you differ within in some of the submissions he made?
Most of the submissions he made are things I'm in tandem with. The only thing that I do, to a large extent, maybe he, as he was speaking, is just that he is not, he didn't give in so much to the issue of those short-term measures that have to do with social safety nets, especially the distribution of palliatives, which I say that they are not really helping the way they should. But some people are worse off, in every situation than others. So those vulnerable persons, if you ask them, they will tell you indeed the issues of some of these palliatives that are distributed and even cash transfer that are made to them has really some kind of aided them out of the abyss of poverty that they had found themselves in. So it is just on that score that maybe some kind of have a little bit of divergent opinion about his submissions to what I've been saying since. And most of the issues that he did raise, I had already raised them much earlier. The issues of skills and all of those. Those are issues that I had earlier raised. So we're in tandem and we're on the same page, except for the issue of palliatives. There's those social protection for the vulnerable, which he has said that maybe within our climb they haven't really worked the way they should. But with what the statistics I do have and the survey that I have within my own environment, to some extent, these issues have some kind of trickle down to the people, and the people are exceedingly and happy at any time that they receive these palliatives. We had recently just undertaken the payments of cash transfer. I know we had paid 30,000 earlier on, and then since it's supposed to last a year, we paid the remaining 90,000 naira not too long. And if you go in most of these areas that these persons have released money, they are really happy, especially within the hinterland, because that within those spaces, it will go a long way in trying to enable them, pick up some form of economic life at those areas. So I think for social protection, via use of palliatives and even foodstuff distribution, have some kind of really help. Not too long, even within our own spaces here. For them in Lagos and some of those areas, they don't have these problems of IDPs, but we do. And not too long, I think it's been on the internet and the media, the media on the movement of persons, the IDPs, especially the ones from the Baka camp, that they've some kind of moved to some maybe much more comfortable camps where they are staying. We are not saying that in itself is that they should be residing there for the rest of their lives, but to some extent, a succor has been provided where they used to live in some kind of maybe not well tailored or not well made shelter arrangement. Now the areas in terms of in the wash arrangement, that is water and sanitation arrangement within this new camp that they found themselves in, and as well as the shelter they have, is much more better than where we are staying. So I think relatively these issues are helping.
Okay. The issue of conditional cash transfer, which you have identified as a social safety net program, in Benue State, how do you arrive at its selection? Is there some form of openness and transparency to ensure inclusiveness, if I should borrow the word of Dr. Nwanma?
Yes, before we pick up persons who should benefit from that, we have a social register in Benue State, and then we look at our social register, and then we have already gone to most of these rural communities, the entirety of the state. People are registered, they are on that register, and then we some kind of have criteria to which we pick. Number one criteria that I did mention earlier on was that there are some persons who are really aged, disabled, that they cannot afford to to do any work. So those kind of persons, people within the areas of maybe from 60 and above, all of those ones, we select them from the register. Those criteria we use in selecting them from across the state, and then we ascribe these palliatives to them. That is number one. Number two, there are people who are unemployed that they do not have any form of work, but they are strong enough. So those two, we have some kind of, we picked them, across the state. And there are people who are into nano businesses. Those two, we have picked them across the state. And again, we have used, like I did mention earlier, the Fadama platform. We have also utilized that by ensuring that we aggregated persons into communities and then have ascribed agricultural products to them so that they can use, and even inputs in terms of even some bits of some other communities. They will prefer some kind of machinery, maybe gari making machinery. We have provided such for communities, and then we have also utilized the Community and Social Development Agency, whereby we go to a community and they are the ones that will tell us, look, we want maybe a small PHC, that is a primary healthcare center here, because we don't have one. We have done all of those things. I don't mean the governor has approved for about 49 of such PHCs and those kind of projects all across the states. Not to talk about close to 30,000, more than 30,000 persons that have benefited from this issue of conditional cash transfer. So for us in Benue State, that is really working.
Okay, we'll delve into more issues, but it's about time now for us to engage with the listener. And the number through which you can participate on the program is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Remember, we are discussing addressing rising poverty in Nigeria, and if you call, stay on the line of conversation. Let us know your name and where you're calling from. Make your submission, please. Keep it very brief. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
This is Agate Radio Perspective Show, right?
Very well.
Okay. I want to contribute on this program.
Thank you. May we know your full name and where you're calling us from before you make your submission?
My name is Orahi Theophilus. I am calling from Wurukum, Makodi.
Okay.
Yes, Nongu. Before now, Nigeria had this problem, but the one that broke the camel's back is the current administration's economic reforms. They are not yielding anything, and there is no hope even in the future. People are falling below the poverty line on a daily basis, which is very, very sad and harsh to comprehend. Look at the recent World Bank postulation, which the World Bank said Nigeria must maintain its ongoing economic reforms for the next 10 to 15 years to establish itself as a leading economic power. For Christ's sake, Nathaniel Nongu, who will be alive for 10 to 15 years to enjoy the economic prosperity the World Bank is talking about? It is very, very, very uncalled for. People are going through a lot. So I think the government needs to do something else. Nigeria is leading closer to an implosion due to the extreme hardship Nigerians are going through as a result of the government economic programs. We are talking about palliatives. Palliatives will not solve anything. Palliatives, we all know in this country, are, shared across party and ethnic lines. If you are not a politician, if you do not come from the community in which that politician who is in charge of sharing the palliatives, you will not get anything. You won't get anything. So my suggestion and
Yes.
my small problem solver I mean, small
Yes, go ahead.
ways of solving. My small ways of solving this problem is how the government should create jobs for people. Let them be independent. I mean, let them have their independence. Let them have something to do.
Okay.
Create business atmosphere. Engage these out of school children who will, I mean, in the nearest future, just like former President Obasanjo yesterday in Bauchi said, that they will become tools of extremists, Boko Haram, the bandits, and all of that. So please,
thank you, Theophilus. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. We appreciate you for calling in. 0814-335.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much. This is Dondowe James from Afar, local government of Benue.
All right, good to have you join us, James.
Yes, thank you so much for this program. It's obvious that poverty is just staring in our face in this country, and we need to do something. Majority of people in this country it's hard, has failed us, but we are still asking that they should just sit up and do the needful to bring the citizens of the country out of poverty. And on our side, as individuals, we have to do something. There is a saying, like people say, which if interpreted, we mean if you are carelessly and roughly laid to rest or sleep, you mean that you have to manipulate and sleep well because you have yourself to take care of. The person that is laying you roughly doesn't care much about it, and you have to do something. Nathaniel, if you go around this time around, you see a lot of youth who are supposed to be productive. They don't have a excuse because of the bad policies of the government. They are out there. There is this board that a lot of numbers are written on. So in the morning, when it's busy time for them to go to work and even find work and even you can find anything and meaningfully engaging. They are there looking at the board and writing on papers in the form of gambling and all that. It's uncalled for. It won't help any matter. Okay. We cannot always be blaming the government for all these things. It is the government that is asking us to go out and gamble, waste our time and money for nothing. If we curtail in all these things, it will help us out. So we as individuals have to do something. Avoid all this unnecessary spending. And when you have money, spend it meaningfully. Avoid extravagant spending. Because we are already in a tight corner, we cannot continue spending, lavishing our money on useless things.
Thank you,
James. We engage in things that we spend our money should be on only necessary.
Thank you. Thank you for your submission. We appreciate you for calling in. 0814-335-9292. Good morning. Hello. Okay, we lost connection with you. 0814-335-9292. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good to have you join us on the program.
Thank you so much. You are speaking with Tekula Haji. I'm calling you from Bachab, Boko local government area.
Okay, thank you, Tekula. Kindly move away from your radio or turn down its volume.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you hearing me now?
Go ahead. We are listening to you, Tekula.
Yes, greet the prof in the studio with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, I am just coming back from farm. As I said, I want bath before I want to make a comment, but I stay. Let me put my contribution first before I will bath. Most especially with the farmers, it's like we have the highest rate of poverty in Nigeria. Because why I say so is that as a farmer, sometimes some things we are producing in the farm subsidy for a farm produce. That's why a farmer can remain a poor man, and it's not supposed to be like that. Let me go back to one of my brother that is called. We the farmers, we have the largest population, the largest number of poverty in Nigeria. That is why we are complaining to the government officials. If they raise everything in the farm up, we the farmers too will have the poverty reduction so much. because we are feeding Nigeria.
Okay.
That's my cry. Thank you.
Complain of high food, of the poverty issues we're discussing. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Okay, you're on, but we can hear you. 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Good morning. Okay, the line for SMS is 0912-699-9404. Hello. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. Okay, it does appear there's a glitch on network there. When we pick, we're not able to get you through, but we'll continue to attempt. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Kindly change your position. The network at your end may be breaking. We can hear you too well. Yeah, speak on. Not too much improvement. The name is who?
Baba Ali.
Okay, Baba Ali.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
My contribution about this hunger of a thing is that, are you getting me?
Yes, we're managing to get you. The network is very poor. Can't you change your position still? I can hear you. Speak on.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Go
It's
ahead,
better now.
Baba Ali.
Can you hear me now?
Very well.
During President Muhammadu Buhari time, there is this scarcity of money up and down. Everybody is crying, hardship everywhere. Now, Mr. President Bola Tinubu now remove fuel subsidy. And this fuel subsidy is the cause of this hardship now that we are facing. During that Buhari time, the Chief Judge of the Federation came out and reversed that let money be in circulation until further notice. Why can't the Chief Judge now come out and say, let the value fuel subsidy until further notice, until measure is being put in place, so that the hardship will reduce?
Okay, Baba Ali.
Yes, sir.
I think the issue of the change of currency you mentioned, the federal government was sued. There was a lawsuit instituted against the government to revert to the old currency till further notice, and the court granted. But this one is, nobody has instituted any suit. So
the protest, even the protest will show that, yes, there is hunger in the land. So let the court also come out and reverse the this thing, the fuel subsidy, until further notice when measure is being put in place.
Okay. Anyway, maybe you want to institute a legal action on that. If you take legal action and the court may be bound to respect it, fine. But
the next protest, maybe we'll take the next.
I'm sorry, it's not protest we are discussing. We are simply discussing addressing rising poverty. So if you have a solution to the poverty challenge Nigerians are grappling with, that would be our line of contribution. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much. This is Agatha Paul at Achusa behind Baptist High School, Makodi.
Good to have you join us, Paul.
Thank you. You see, today Nigerians are facing a lot. If not by His grace, many will not be alive to listen to this program, but we thank God for life.
Very well.
As you can see, people are passing through difficulties, and they are talking about palliatives. It's just like they tie your hand and leg and they fish a spoon of pap to feed you and then give you a spoon of water and say, just hold your heart, we are coming back. People are passing a lot. You see, how much is school fees? If the government really wants to help the masses, make the primary and secondary school free of charge. And then, how much is the power holding tariff bill every month? You buy a meter that will not take you up to 2 weeks, and you're having only a television in your room and a fan, standing fan, nothing more, will not serve you out to a month. Come back to transportation is tug of war. You cannot even move from here to Wadata without spending like 2,500 or if not 3,000. This is very unbearable. This is very hard situation. and they are talking of palliatives. That will not solve problem. Bring the cost of fuel down, bring the cost of NEPA bills down, then declare free education for primary and secondary school to at least help parents and the masses. Look at if you check on the street right now, if you can go around the town, you see children below 10, from 10 below, they are roaming on the street, no way to go to school because of the high school fees. So if government is talking about palliative, there are many ways. If they are coming out for campaign, they will tell us they will do free education, this and that, free hospital, free this. Go to the hospital. How much is a card of paracetamol? This is what people are passing through. Then they are talking of palliatives. You remember the other time the governor was angry with the other group of persons that a truck of palliatives that was made for Constitution was offloading somewhere in Makurdi here.
Anyway, Paul, that's outside our immediate focus. Just conclude.
Yes. That I know. But if they are talking of palliatives, how many people we got that palliatives?
All right.
But if you can bring down the cost of make free education from primary to secondary, and then bring down the cost of fuel, and then make a hospital medicine at least beat the price down. At least now you're touching the life of people.
Thank you so much.
That is the way I feel government should handle this issue of hardship in Nigeria.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. That's some of the social protection programs coming. This one are real-time solutions from Nigerians who are feeling the fangs of poverty directly. Good morning.
This is Mike, the head of state, calling from Bayongo, Makurdi local government.
So, Michael, you are in a noisy background. I can hear you.
Yes, I'm just excusing the pupils you are behind me.
Okay, go ahead, so Michael, from Bayongo in Makurdi.
Yes, I want to appreciate so much for bringing up this topic on air today. The easy way to say we stop or we put a stop to poverty in our country. We in the locality, the only thing is to do away with the Fulanis around us. Insecurity. If security guaranteed is enough, we don't have problem, because go to our farming sector now. You go to Gwe West. These are the people that provide much food, and then even the commercial farming you do in the Gwe West much. But now, nowhere to farm. These are the things that are causing poverty in our society. We don't, I'm telling people not to depend on the government. We vote them, but it will depend on them. You create a poverty in your community or families. But when you invest in farm, this is where we get ourselves self-employed, and then we achieve a lot. We don't even wait for government to do things for us. If we are farming, we'll be able to pay school fees. We'll not even call for government to create free education for ourselves. If we are farming, we'll not even ask government to employ us, because we are self-employed. Look at the bag of rice, the price in there. Young children who are harvesting, you see a child not up to 18 years, we harvest 20 bags of rice. That person is capable and able to pay school fees of any level. So, but finding it difficult to farm because of the insecurity, here is where we are finding it difficult to challenge poverty in our society.
Okay.
But security conscious is the only thing that will demolish poverty in our society.
Thank you. Thank
you
very much for your contribution. Of course, the World Bank report also touched on insecurity as one of the causes of poverty, and so is stressing them. Good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Okay, the network we are on, but we really cannot hear you. 0814-335-9292. If you're not able to get through to the call line, simply send an SMS to 0912-699-9404. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, you can also follow us by logging onto our website on www.igateradiotv.com to listen to us on our social media platforms. Good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, Prof.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Tambe. I'm calling you off Georgia Kumawe here in Makodi.
The name is Stephen who?
Tambe, Tambe.
Thank you, Stephen Tambe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate you for bringing this topic on air this morning. You know, I've been listening to radio for quite a long time, and I do hear such good programs on radio. But to come into physical, you see, I want to emphasize on the issue of transportation. Because as I'm speaking to you right now, I am sick I'm finding difficulty walking.
Oh, sorry.
For over 5 years now.
Oh, sorry about that, Stephen.
Yes, I've been listening to radio. You see, I'm just behind my village is behind the first base. I do go for medical checkup in FNC three times in a week. But you see, last time we do take bike from there to Makodi and go back for 700 naira, and I do go 3 times in a week. But now only to go Makodi, just to go is 3,000, and I have to go 3 times in a week. I'm not doing anything, and my mother or maybe my guardians are just helping me because I'm not doing anything. Or is it when you sit on radio, hear that there is palliatives here and there, you only hear on radio coming to manifest. It's very, very difficult. So the whole thing is depend on PMS. We are begging the government to help us.
Okay.
And please, I'm telling the prof that if you connect me to the earlier care, so if not, I find it difficult.
Stephen,
yes.
Stephen, thank you very much. We will overcome. Nigerians have a lot of resilience, and we are believing that this phase 2 should pass us by. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I want to contribute to your discussion.
Thank you.
My name is Comrade Achimi Ogushe, calling from Modern Market Road.
Good to have you, Achimi Ogushe. Go ahead.
Thank you
please.
very much. You see, we don't need the World Bank to tell us that Nigeria is dimensionally poor. From all the government policies, we know that it is heading to doom, and the Nigerian masses will bear the brunt. They always follow the instruction of World Bank, IMF, and the rest. Why their own policy over there is different entirely from the developing country policy. But our leader has failed to recognize that the policy over there cannot be compared in any way with African countries. They will tell you government have no hand to do business. America, I think in 2019 or 2020, when General Motors was in. But in Africa, they will tell you government should fold up their hands. They don't have hands. They don't supposed to intervene in the business. All the policies of this government is a policy that has no bearing. For instance, a president on the day of swearing-in ceremony removes subsidy. You have not entered your office to know the details, to study the handing over note. From inauguration on the podium there, you say subsidy is gone. You went ahead, you devalue Nigerian currency. See all these crises, there is no any tangible end in sight because we continue to suffer. I don't know, maybe the book of lamentation is written because of Nigeria. We are always lamenting from one administration to another, always lamenting. So we keep our hope in God.
Yes,
because
for
the government, there is no hope from them at all. But the people in government will tell you, come out with all kinds of theory and grammar to deceive people and that things will get better. When? Till people die? So we should just look unto God for intervention. That is my take. Thank you very much.
Achimoguche, thank you. Thank you. We should look unto God for intervention. That's your submission. 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The SMS line is 0912-699-9404. Log onto our website on www.igetradiotv.com and follow our social media pages. We are available on Radio Garden. Download the Agate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which you can also access our content. Morning.
Hello.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Confidence Okafor from High Level.
Okay, good to have you. Confidence.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I must appreciate Nigerians, men and women, for their passion and for their, working trying to overcome this hardship. I appreciate everyone, every Nigerian. So, all we need for government to understand and do the needful. You see, there's no point of sharing money. Well, get this fuel down to the normal price. Nigeria will flow.
Okay.
Get put things in the place of the government. Do what the government is supposed to do. Then forget about giving us money. We have working people. We can feed ourselves. We can pay our school fees. We can transport ourselves. So what are we saying here? We don't beg. So government, they should stop this. I'm telling you the truth. A lot of people and go and in the hospital, they go to Mom and the MKC hospital there. There are people decide they can't go home. What are we saying? So you see, this is getting out of hand. We're patient, so, and I must say the truth, Prof. We're patient people, and there's a time this will go. In fact, I don't think Nigeria can bear it anymore. So we're just trying to warn the government to do the needful. That's my take. Please.
Okay. All right.
Confidence, thank you for calling in. Okay, we'll pause for a while and return to the course later on. But let's begin with the concern by the World Bank. This is outside the report. This one was at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, which the World Bank stated that it will take 15 years for Nigeria's current economic reforms to yield results, right?
Yeah.
So with that, exacerbate or worsen the level of poverty we're facing now, 129 million below national poverty line. And the target, according to World Bank, projecting that 15 years for the current economic reforms to give the results. Prof.
Yeah, to some extent, what they say makes sense. You know, when you are trying to see how you can turn the bend, you know, it needs a whole lot of effort and also a lot of work. And this work is not just should not just be left in the hands of the government. It also has to, come from us as citizens. I understand the dynamics in terms of the enormous hardship this thing will bring on us. You know, when we open up discussion on this topic, I had said that one of the greatest problems that has led to this issue of us, nosediving into poverty was the issue of the removal of fuel subsidy. And also that also led to issues of insecurity, which exacerbated the situation. So for us to be able to do that, since subsidy has gone, what needs to be done is that, at the point, the government was borrowing money to subsidize for us because our major earner as a country is just petroleum. We, other than that, do not actually receive so much in terms of exchanges, in terms of our financial inflows on other issues. So if it had even gone ahead by selling some of the fuel in advance to be able to see how they can secure those funds so that they can now hedge against the volatility that was experienced in terms of the production of petroleum products abroad, because we import abroad in the dollar quantum, change it into naira, then it's as good as we are importing inflation into our country. So for the government to hedge against that, they needed to see how they will now borrow money and then pay part of the burden that should have been borne by we Nigerians in the consumption of that particular product. And the thing again is that that particular product fuel is at the fulcrum of the economic activities that we find in Nigeria. So once there is a change in it, it trickles out. It affects almost as every aspect of our lives. So we are neck diving deeper and deeper into debt. Our foreign reserve was also dwindling. So on both scores, in terms of debts, we are digging deeper into debts. In terms of growth, we are not actually growing. So it became some kind of maybe vicious circle of poverty. We are some kind of living a life of deceit. Now, what this government has simply done is that we cannot continue on that route of borrowing to come and consume. You don't go and borrow money to come and eat food. You borrow money so that you put it in a productive activity that will give you a return so that you can pay. So, part of the issue is that by one of the to help us also grow. And the last person also who contributed, I think Confidence, he said Nigerians, they should bring back subsidy. If they are going to bring back subsidy, it's as good as we are going to borrow money now to come and hedge us against not paying more for the fuel. But what is happening is that we should pay for what we consume. That is the policy that the government is trying to do. And the good thing is that, yes, indeed, I know relatively this issue of Dangote's refinery. By the time they now start selling in naira to Dangote, I know to some extent the pricing of fuel also will start now, coming down. And once it starts coming down, it's going to now start, leading to reductions in terms of cost for our various businesses. But there's something again that we need to note about prices. Prices are downward sticky. What that means is that once prices go up, it is not easy that it takes a turn. It goes down almost immediately. It needs to take a little while for them to start going down. Why? Because of the fact that the person who is selling will told you, I bought this thing at a particular price. And for me to make a return or profit on what I bought, I need to sell it at a certain price so that at least I can cover the cost to enable me get back to the market and still stay in business. So, given all of these issues that we are saying, it's going to take a little bit of a while for us to be able to come down. But I know that not too long, like I did mention, the government has already started saying that they are going to sell fuel to Dangote in dollars, in naira form. But the ones that have sold to Dangote earlier on was in dollars because they needed also those inflows to enable them pay back some of the debts that were collected earlier on, maybe in the past administration to succor or find as a hedge against the consumption of petroleum products within that time frame. Another thing that we need to also do is, I hear people say...
Let me interrupt you briefly. Okay. I'll be back to you shortly, please. Hello, good morning.
Morning, people of Agate.
Thank you for joining us on Agate Radio.
Mr. T. Cheku calling from 109 West.
Okay, we'd like to know your real name, your full name, please.
Till, T-I-L, Till. C-H-E-Q, Cheku.
Okay.
Mr. T. Cheku, yes.
Thank you.
I I want to revisit some of the solutions that people have proffered, and since government is not taking them to consideration. One, I heard Tony Falana on one of the television appearances saying that Nigerian oil, is it wells or something, are supposed to be metered. That so far, 16 oil wells are not metered. So you will not know what quantity of oil comes out and what quantity of oil goes out. Federal government has not done something concerning that. Hence, oil theft is continuing and is affecting the economy. Number two, we hear of corruption. Many years before this administration came into being. When this administration meant to correct the imbalances in local government administration, with a fiat, the Supreme Court came out with a law that we are celebrating today. People have profound hindrances, all these encumbrances that are making it difficult for us to arrive at convictions will be removed. Number three, when you want to build a new bridge across a river, you use the old bridge. If there is no old bridge, you create a new one, an emergency one, before you start the new bridge. This legacy project that governments, both state and federal, are embarking upon, that are coming out of place. It's not right now. The government that has 4 years lifetime and the possibility of extending to another 4 years should not come in the first year and start embarking on legacy project.
Okay, Cheku.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I am listening to you keenly to tie all your submissions to addressing poverty, but it seems you have not gotten the drift of your submissions yet. But try to conclude how some of this you have stated could address the rising poverty in the country.
If a state government receives allocation and does not embark on legacies and gratuities, money will circulate in Benue State. I remember the president of TUC Benue State, he was on a Get Radio a month back, and he asked this simple question. This project that government are doing and people are praising them, how do they translate to solving the poverty problem of the ordinary masses? So if we block the leakages of corruption, if we block all these leakages, in terms of security, people have suggested that external mercenaries should be brought to help Nigeria fight insurgents. Government is not taking this advice. So insecurity, corruption, legacy projects, and so on, they are hindering progress and are increasing poverty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheku, for calling in. We appreciate you for your submission. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
My name is Mr. Joseph Atakine.
Joseph Atakine, where are you calling us from?
Coming from Ireland.
Okay.
You see the issue of what people are saying.
Joseph, could you speak up? You sound inaudible.
Okay. You see, people are talking about this subsidy. Subsidy. This would have been done long time ago. You see, we wouldn't have been suffering this thing now. Because the issue is very deep. I want to adjust about this. Yeah? Because what they did now, what Mr. President did now, their children will benefit. It's time coming. So we should be patient. We should not be putting this in one of the criteria that make hunger and poverty in Nigeria. Somebody said about farming. Yeah, you can go to farm and you end it. We just leave the fuel and this fuel something as one of the only thing that has been in Nigeria. Without it, it cannot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joseph, thank you. Thank you for calling. We appreciate you for your submission. I'm so sorry, Dr. Andohol. I did interrupted you, but you were generally speaking to us after you had spoken on the World Bank projection that it would take 15 years or more for the current economic reforms to yield any result. There was something more you wanted to add to it. As part of the submissions.
I was just saying that I had liked the comment made by Confidence, though that's the earlier part of his submission, which was the fact that Nigerians are hard workers, and they should be able to, they can fend for themselves. The only thing he added was that we should go back to the subsidy regime, which is what I'm at variant with him. And there was another earlier submission made by some other person. I think one of the farm. I said he was a farmer. That was just coming from the farm. But one thing he did said that made sense so much, in fact, that we as a people we should try also to do something to enable us, get out of the doldrum. Not just depending so much on the government to be able to fast track our getting out of the poverty mark. And again, in the government itself for Benue State, has done, is trying so much to do some things, bringing out some pills to help see how they can bring succor to the generality of the Benue people. And one of the things the governor has done is that there is this intra-city transport. At least we've started it within the state now, and that's using Benue links, which it has now, within the city now. There's even picking people, I think, at 200 naira for each bus stop that they are dropping, which I know to some extent is helping bring succor in terms of transportation. Not to talk about the 100 buses that the government at the point in time, had brought in for the Benue people, which to a large extent, had helped alleviate issues of transportation. School, as being mentioned, we should make primary school free, as being mentioned by one of the persons here. I think the governor, to a large extent, this year that just passed, he paid all the final year students of all secondary school, people who are attending public schools, all of their school fees. That is the plan, and then did register their WAEC and SSC. So, and there is something that a lot of people have failed to appreciate, which is as some kind of advocacy now. There's this health insurance policy. We should see how we can start enrolling on the health insurance policy so that, when you're sick, all you just need to do is that when you have that permit, you go to any hospital of your choice, and then you're paying next to nothing in trying to see how you can, get your health needs, instead of spending so much out-of-pocket expenses that are still going to, dwindle down on your pocket and maybe affect, take you down through the poverty benchmark.
Okay. Hello. Just a moment. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for holding on.
Thank you very much. I want to sincerely appreciate my DG in the building, Dr. Andohol.
Yes, the name is who?
My name is Elder Jerry. I'm calling from ED.
Jerry.
In Makodi.
Jerry, let's know your phone name, please.
My name is Elder Jerry Nyikwa.
Okay, Jerry Nyikwa. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, first of all, I want to commend your program.
Thank you.
And over the issue being discussed, we have a couple of problems in our country. I think we need to go back to the drawing board. Over time, the education system has been neglected to some certain level. We have so much half-baked graduates in the country. That is not helping our economy. Virtually everything we are consuming, we are importing it. It is not fair. I think the complaining about this, that, it's not going to help us. Government is always government. Their policies will favor some people, it will not favor others. But if we go back to the technical education where we can train young boys who can manufacture one or two things, have some crafts to offer, I think that will be the better for us.
Okay. Thank you.
That is my submission.
Thank you very much for your submission, Jerry Nyikwa.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Technical education should be encouraged as part of addressing poverty. Okay,
Well,
we'll a few more calls, and when we'll come back, we'll try to wrap up. Good morning. Hello. Okay, you are on, but we can't hear you. 0814-335-9292. That's the line to call on the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you, my brother.
Kindly speak a little louder.
Okay, Professor, I greet you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I greet everybody. I greet Agge Radio.
Thank you. We greet you too. May we know your name and where you're calling in from?
My name is Samuel. I'm calling from North Bank.
Samuel who?
Somewhere.
Yes, we'll take your full name. Samuel, you should have a surname. That's what I'm
My
asking.
name is Samuel Aboje.
Good. Samuel Aboje. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I greet everybody. You know, in this, our problem in Nigeria, this poverty is caused by a lot of things. Because Nigeria focus of the NNPC fuel issues and leave other mineral resources behind. There's other mineral resources that Nigeria can be fed up from, but they keep it away. They don't look onto it. And that is where insecurity are coming out from. Because number one, they focus on fuel matter and leave other mineral resources who can produce a lot of things. Like in Benue State, we have a lot of mineral resources. Mostly we are in agriculture. And if you go to other countries, other states, they have a lot of other mineral resources which they say they can succeed and reduce the poverty of this country. Our leaders, they are all focused in poor issues. They don't look at other mineral resources again. When you go to America, what you have in Nigeria, if they have this, the law, if you go to Britain, go to France, they are succeed from West Africa mineral resources. And because of what? They focus when they succeed, they take care of their own country. It will cost a lot of things in Nigeria. So the poverty of Nigeria, not that Nigeria youth are lazy. We are not lazy.
Okay.
We are strong enough. We are strong to make it in life. But our leader today, they don't focus on any other minerals. They focus on fuel.
So
and
the economy should not be oil dependent alone. Thank you, Samuel, for your submission. Thank you very much. All right, that will be the last call we will take from Samuel, talking about the economy not being oil dependent alone. A few messages, and then we'll try to wrap up. This one says, poverty refers to our inability to access what we ought to do or get. It is also the deprivation of someone's opportunity, although government can control it. One, by scouting for employment opportunities, and also ensuring our youths are gainfully engaged. To mention a few, Isaac Utsua from Anchia, Sejime, Ngoma. Isaac, thank you for your message. We appreciate you. This one says, sir, how can I benefit from the palliatives? I only hear about them on radio, and I never get to benefit from them for once. Ukeyima Zoho from Agam. Okay, Ukeyima, thank you for your message. Quite a few of them were able to take. But Dr. Andohol, let's look at how the government can adjust its policies to address poverty. The current policies that are being implemented, Nigerians have argued that there is so much money coming to sub-national government since the removal of the fuel subsidy. But the policies of the federal and state government seem not to be in any direction shaving away poverty. How can the government adjust its own policies to make a difference?
Thank you, which we can do that. And if you look at the government of the state, we are becoming technologically driven now, given the fact that the governor has even, that is His Excellency, right, Reverend Father Hassan Memalia has instituted the Benue Digital Infrastructural Company. And then, with that, he's seen how he can, get Benue on the map of technology, see how skills will be, transferred, technology be transferred, as well as building skills and capacity within those spaces. Not too long, I think he has even approved for the employment of close to about 250 persons who will join that team, and then see how they are able to create wealth in that regards for the Benue populace. And again, the issue of the fashion hub, which is a legacy project, as well as some of the underpass, that was that there has to be inclusive growth. When you want to grow, you not just focus only on one sector, but look at how all sectors can grow almost simultaneously. And when you do such projects, what that does is that it helps within, as far from civil standard, because not everybody is a civil servant. Some are in the private sector. Those in the private sector can have jobs as well. Those people building those areas, it is our people that are doing at least the engineering jobs, the menial jobs that you find there. And even the local economy is as well boosted, because those people will definitely find one or two things to eat within that the areas that such projects have been carried out. So those legacy projects are also a good thing. The fashion hub is there. It's employed massive chunks of people that are there. So, and again, in the issues of salary arrears that are being paid, yes, the civil servants were owed some salary arrears, which ran to close to 10 months. But to a large extent, stabilization of such monies have been what is ongoing. And again, at least there have been some tick in terms of the payment, about at least 2 months that have been paid off the 10 months that have been owed. And we are still making progress. The state government is still making progress. And the issue again is that of trying to see how they can institute some kind of maybe a minimum wage that can be take home, or we'll say take home, but some other person will say is a living wage that they want. In as much as we know that amount of money, that 70,000 minimum that was being proposed, and most states are beginning to implement. The current state, the state government is also trying to see how they can also do that, to be able to see how at least to uplift the generality of the Benue people, so that they can at least be taken off from the poverty map.
Okay, because we do not have that time, let's wrap up with this. How can the country, Nigeria's agricultural sector, be leveraged to reduce poverty, especially for the huge number which have gone below national poverty line?
The entirety of the agricultural sector, the Nigerian agricultural sector, is again based on human capital. We need to see how human capital as a whole, that is as a person, we as people, can be uplifted in a way. The current government of Tinubu-led government, is getting what he knows. He said hope, edu, and hope health. And what that is trying to do is that they are trying to see how they can get some good chunks of money into the educational sector, as well as some good chunk of money into the health sector, especially at the lower primary school level and then the primary school healthcare level. With all of this, once they are able to bring a much more stronger human being, then that human being will now be able to see how we can open up the spaces in terms of agricultural land clearing, as well as bring in tractors, other mechanized inputs or implements that can help now, till the soil in a manner that will lead to massive production of goods and services. Not to talk about, let's not forget that at least some other person mentioned something here which is very, very tenable. That's the issue of solid minerals. Solid minerals is also a major component of us also seeing how we can, delve deep into it, see that it increases the propensity to which wealth will be created that will lead to growth, which at the end will help, bring us out of the abyss of poverty. Capacity building is also another component that we should also try to see how take up these jobs to do not really depending on the government. So, and let's not also forget that microfinancing of businesses, that is access to capital, for most persons, is also problematic. So if the government can reduce, the MPR, that is the interest rate, so that the cost of borrowing we also come down so that people can access capital quite easily, to see how they should now employ in their businesses. Then that will as well lead to reduction in the general prices of goods and services.
And the short-term measures to curb inflation, especially food inflation, which is part of the ones fueling poverty, what should they be?
The short-term measures, like I did said, it was that for security is a bit of a long-term measure. So if we need to bring in short-term measures to see how they can curtail food inflation, is by the ability of the government to be able to provide farm inputs, especially fertilizers, then as well as other insecticides. I'm sorry, pesticides and pesticides, which will now help, improve products that are being cultivated on such farms, and then lead to improvement generally in food, and then reduction in food inflation. And again, issues of security, like I did said, it's a bit of a long. Let's say that should be a medium major move, but that also will seriously help in trying to see how we can mitigate against food inflation.
Dr. Jerome Andohol is an associate professor of economics, director general budget and economic planning commission in Benue. He joined us here on Perspectives to share thoughts with us on addressing rising poverty in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Dr. Andohol, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Get Radio, and then thank you, listeners, at least for making contributions to this wonderful show.
Thank you. Earlier on, we had analyst, an economic analyst who joined us virtually, Dr. Vincent Nwanma. He joined us virtually from Lagos. We are grateful to him for finding time to also share thoughts with us on the program. Dear listener, that's our program today. Join us on Wednesday for a fresh edition. My name is Nathaniel Nongu. Have yourself a great week ahead. Goodbye.